All right, everybody, and here we are again with another fun covert adventure. Today I'm on top of Hall's Top, outside of, you can see the Hall's Top fire tower sitting behind me now. This is one of the oldest fire towers still here in East Tennessee, built back in June 20th, 1934. So she's been standing up there for 92 years. I ended up flying the drone a little bit earlier because definitely a lot of people are actually up here today. It's kind of a shocker for me. But anyways, I got some good, beautiful drone footage. And but you can see up here, they do use this as a radio tower repeater site. And I'm actually shocked with the amount of people I've been actually seeing come up here today. I usually don't see necessarily that many people up here, the tower, but this is a 60-foot air motor fire tower. And it actually has the diagonal staircases now. Mount Sterling and Mount Shuckstack, which is still standing in the Smokies, does have this design does have the stairway design. Now it did begin to become a little less popular because when the stairways runs diagonal back and forth, they actually have a bounce in them, especially when you have the 100-foot fire tower. So they began to correct this later on, where they had the stairways perpendicular back and forth across, adding more landings, but it shortened the distance between the runways. And so that way there you didn't get that bouncing, moving back and forth. And that's what scared a lot. Now, a lot of fire towers, when they started out, they actually had a ladder that would go all the way up, but that really began to be known as unsafe because, you know, just calling a ladder going all the way up and down. So that made things a lot more unsafer, and they began to change the design on what fire towers are. What's actually nice about this one here is that what's nice about this one here is you can actually see where they left the metal in it to tell you what year it was built. So it was built in June 20th, 1934, making this one of the oldest fire towers. And you can actually see that the metal is still in relatively good shape. The wood is mostly good, but you can see that the bottom stairs here have been yanked off from people. Finally made it up here to the top of the fire tower. For the most part, the cab's actually in pretty good shape. Some of the stairs are missing on the way up, but overall in pretty decent shape. You can see where people definitely shot it out and have spray painted all over it. But roof's in relatively okay condition, although we do have some bullet holes in it. But overall, the tower is in pretty good shape. The vent is actually still up there. And one other thing that I find very fun, or very interesting, is the antenna that they would have used for the radio is actually still attached. And you can actually see the wire is still sitting there. So I do find that very, very interesting. But anyways, this fire tower, the road to it is kind of rough getting up here, but it definitely does show you what these towers really were for. And something kind of ironic right now, there's actually a fire of something burning down there in Newport. So what would have happened is these trees would have been topped down a little bit more. They would have their little fire finder over here, and they would have been able to find where this was on the map, and they would have been able to figure out where that fire was coming from. So to kind of try to get a little bit of bearings over here, so over there is English Mountain, and English Mountain has a fire tower. And then Mount Sterling over that way has a fire tower. So if there was something burning in this direction, the tower would call the other and say, hey, English Mountain, can you get a line on that? And then when they would triangulate where they would be at, that would point out what road or where they need to go to be able to put out that particular fire. They were very effective. These were mainly staffed up until about the mid 1980s, and then that was kind of when they started, you know, shutting them down and starting to tear them down. And when I was doing some research, and I was wondering, I was like, why did so many of these towers get removed? Today, there's so many activist groups out there. Well, back then, there wasn't a lot of that going on. A lot of hiking groups and stuff really didn't exist in the sense that they do today. You know, social media and stuff has allowed us to be able to get a little bit more connected in that. So that's why I'm hoping to be able to try to save more of these fire towers. And you may ask yourself, well, people are just going to vandalize it. And that is true. It is a big thing that you do take into consideration. But overall, in the end, I mean, you know, a little bit of paint and that once in a while, cover that right on up, because there are a lot of good people. I couldn't believe today how many people I ran into just coming up here to this site. So, you know, vandalism is an issue, but I do believe that if you have, especially here, you could put a camera up here. Really, it should be a tower cam up here anyways, a really good, beautiful view. That tower over there, Norfolk Southern uses it as a radio repeater. Looks like they're building another tower up here. And then this is, it sounded like County 911. I actually heard the radios going off inside of it. I was like, I hear voices, so that was actually interesting. But yeah, it's not too terribly bad up here though. But you can see the road here. This is really a good time to come because it's warm and the leaves haven't been fully up on the trees, but I cannot believe though how beautiful this is up here. Actually, there is a fire over there too, burning as well. So that over there would have been what they really would have used this for, is to zoom in on that. We're going to head on down this fire tower. I didn't really film coming up because there were some people down there, but it's easier for me to walk down these things and do multiple things. So anyways, when you walk down a fire tower, and I wouldn't recommend doing it with a video camera, but I am a little bit of a professional, you want to make sure when you step, you're stepping where the bolt holes are, and then you want to make sure you're always grabbing onto a part of the tower as a handrail. Getting out of the cab is always the hardest part. I always find it the most disorienting because it's like I know that there's a roof up above me at some time and you can hit your head, especially if you're a taller person. If you've never really done one before, climbing backwards is fine. But anyway, so you can see the wood and everything under here is in pretty good condition. Always make sure you check out, but I always try to step where the metal is. When you're out here, you can feel that wind blowing and it can make a little bit disorienting. But anyways, here's the steps. And again, we're going to hold on to the railings. These ones are very, very tight still. So as we go down, we're going to step off to our sides like this. Because we keep our feet off to the side here, it's metal underneath where we're at, so we're not actually on the wood. Now, if there aren't any steps, it's a little bit more challenging. Now, here we have a situation where the landing is missing a board. So basically what we're going to do here is when we come around, we're going to come in, we're going to step on top of where we know there's metal, we're going to grab back on, and we're going to continue on our trek down. Like I said, going down backwards, if you have someone with you to kind of help guide you, is fine. But like I said, I do find it a little bit easier. Always for me, my first time up, I do get a little bit nervous. I do look down at the ground because when I look up, it makes me disoriented as well. So we'll keep going down here, and yeah. So these definitely get a little bit wider going down, or you get a little bit more comfortable going down. And then down here is kind of your challenging part. And this is where we're going to actually reverse backwards and go down.